Jackson here at Song Mentor. And for the second week in a row, our Rockin' Selection is going to visit the land of rhythm and blues. If you're from Chicago, or have ever lived in Chicago, this song would be near and dear to your heart. Sweet Home Chicago is believed to have been penned by Robert Johnson many years ago. And of course, we all enjoy recent versions by Eric Clapton, Buddy Guy, etc., etc. It's a standard 12-bar blues with an AAB vocal line, and just a classy blues song. Originally, some of the lyrics mentioned California, and then later versions ditched those references. So lines like "going back to California" became "going back to Chicago." Here's Sweet Home Chicago, a blues classic.
All right, well, Sweet Home Chicago is 12-bar blues. So the first thing we want to do is establish that 12-bar blues pattern. And some people call it 4/5 or 1/4/5. The one chord being, in this case, an E. We're not really chording, we're riffing here. This is like a chop thing. The 4 chord is the A. We move up a string, and that's based on this 2, 3, 4. And then the 5 chord, 5. So the 4 and 5 chords, we play the 1 chord, which is the E, and the 4 chord, which is the A, and then back to the 1 chord, and then back to the 4 chord, and back to the 1 chord, and then in the 12-bar blues we go to the 5 chord, 4 chord, that's essentially the pattern. So we start with the E, and all I'm doing there is that's basically open E string, and then on the 5th string I'm going 2, 4, 5, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. That kind of pattern. Same thing on when I move up to the 4 chord, which is the A, open A string, to play the 5 chord, which is the B7 chord. Make sure you know how to play a B7, this standard open way of playing it. And there I'm playing an A7, which is this version of it with just the middle note missing in an A chord. Makes it an A7. We leave the G string open. And then typically we'd have some kind of a turnaround, like, and then back to the start. So what I'm going to do is play through that 12-bar blues. I'll show you how to play that turnaround, but play through it so that you know how it's going to be played every single time. And then when we add riffing on top of it, we have the bass to work with. So here we go. All right, so the 12-bar progressions I'm going to show you here, they're a little bit different for the intro than they are for the verses. Okay, for the intro, we stick with the 1 chord for 4 full bars. 2, 3, 4. And then we switch to the 4 chord. For the verses, we alternate. We go to the 4 chord. We go 1, 4, 1, 1 in the first 4 bars. So it's, come home, baby, won't you wanna go? So it's 1, 4, 1, 1 for the first 4 bars, whereas in the intro it just sticks with 1 all 4 bars. And that sounds complicated, but it's not really. I'll play both versions for you now so you can see the difference. 1, 2, 3.
Sweet home, Chicago.
Okay, I just want to show you that little turnaround. There are different ways to play this turnaround, but this is one way that you can incorporate into this lesson and then do some experimenting with. I'll show you one more actually a little bit later. Both from the left hand and right hand perspective. My second finger is going to slide up to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and my third finger is going to slide up to the 4th fret of the 3rd string. And pick down on those two, and then up on the open 1st string. And then down 1 fret with these 2 fingers. And still picking up on that open 1st string, 1 more down, and then just the open G note, and then that B7. I'm just going to pick through some notes in that B7 chord. So again, it's... Okay, so we'll show you what the right hand looks like playing that. And that'll take you around again so you can begin the 12-bar blues progression all over again. All right, let's get on to some options for the intro to Sweet Home Chicago. All right, just before we get to those intro options, and before I forget, I'll show you that other little turnaround option that I was mentioning earlier. So going from the end of the verse there, back to that same old place, Sweet Home Chicago. And that's just... This time, again, with the base of this being that the high E string is played open each time, just like in that other turnaround. This time I'm going from 5 to 3 to 2 to 1 to open, and then your B7 again. Okay, so keep in mind as we go through these intros, that many of the little riffs that you're going to see here you can also use during the body of the song against a vocal line, that sort of thing, like sing a line, play a lick, that sort of thing. So we'll start with Buddy Guy, and we'll break this down into 3 4-bar chunks. So the first, he starts out with an impact, the way he plays this song in the intro, and he starts out with this riff. And that is as simple as you're going to bar the first 3 strings with your first finger and slide up, and then that second finger is going to be 1 fret above the bar on the 3rd string. So you end up with what amounts to a D7, D minor 7 chord if you were down here, but you're up at the 12th fret with the bar and the 13th fret with that second finger on the 3rd string. So it slides up. So the first 4 bars work around that riff, and I'll go through this nice and slowly for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we got that quick. And then we end up on the 9th fret of the 3rd string with our pointer finger. And those are the first 4 bars. Okay, here's what he does with the middle 4 bars. He starts out like this. And that's just, we're on the 14th fret of the 4th string, the 3rd finger. Play that little box from 14 to 12 to 14 on the 3rd string, and then bend it up and vibrate. Then he plays this riff. I'll go through it slowly. So it's bend up on 14 of the 3rd string, while I'm barring with my first finger the 12th fret of 1 and 2. And that's pick down, down, up. And then with the 3rd finger, we'll scale down. So it's 15, 12, 14, 12, 14. Then back on the third string we go from 12 to 13, and then 14 on 4 and 5. The whole thing. You can practice that several times. And then at the very end of the middle section, he does a quick, and that's just a bar on the 14th fret, and we're hammering off bar on 14, bar on 12, hammer with the second finger on 13 of the third string. So the whole thing. Okay, our third and final 4-bar section of Buddy Guy features a variation, starts with a variation on this one. And so that's same thing we did a little bit earlier. See where we're going there? And we end up at second string, 12th fret. And right after that he goes into a really sustained, where he just takes the 15th fret of the second string and bends it up a full step, and then finishes with he doesn't actually finish with that, but that's what I'm going to finish with because it kind of wraps things up nicely. So to repeat the whole bit there. Okay, so practice those 3 4-bar sections, and what we're going to do right now is play that 12-bar blues, and then we'll put those riffs in over top of them with picture-in-picture. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's move on to the Clapton intro, and it's quite a bit different, but the first 4 bars are similar to the second 4 bars. First 4 bars go like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's just a scale down. We're going to start on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. We're going to hammer up from the 7th fret of the 3rd string with our first finger, and then vibrate, and then a scale down. Okay, so that is 9, 7, 7, 5, 7. We're moving from the 3rd down to the 5th string there. 9, 7, 7, 5, 7. And then just a quick up pick on 1 and 2, and I'll do that from time to time, just a little accent bit there. And then he finishes it up with a, okay, and that's just me barring at the 7th fret, strings 1, 2, and 3, sliding up from 7 to 9, back down to 7. So one last time. Okay, the second one's just a little bit different. It starts with our second finger on the 8th fret of the second string, and we start with, so instead of sliding up to the 9th fret of the 3rd string, we're coming from the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Notice the timing there? And this time when we play that little riff there, it's a little bit quicker. From 9 to 7 across, again, across the first 3 strings. Okay, that takes you through 2/3 of Eric Clapton's intro. Okay, the last 4 bars of the Eric Clapton intro are started down here, and we're going to play this. So it's on the 5th string. We're picking 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 2. Then we get into this really cool little section here. We'll go through those notes slowly for you. We're going to start on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. And we're going 6, 5 of the 2nd string, 6. And then we're going 7, 6, 5 on the 1st string, so. And then 8 on the 2nd string. 8, 5, 8. And then back to 5, 5, 6, 5. So slowly the whole thing. Then I'm going to go to an alternate turnaround, and I'm going to start with an open E note, and then I'm going to pick down on the 5th string, 5th fret. My second finger's fingering that, and then I'm going to pick up, alternately pick up on the open 1 and 2. I just happen to end up here in position to form a B7 chord, which is the last chord in our turnaround. So again, from that little riff. And that's Eric's intro. Okay, for our playthrough today, we have time for an intro and a verse. And I just chose the Buddy Guy intro. You can play the other if you like, but in picture it'll be the Buddy Guy. And then I'll try and use some of the Eric Clapton stuff to accent in the verse, give you an idea how to go through this song and enjoy playing the blues with it. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same old place, sweet home Chicago. All right, whether it's Eric Clapton or Buddy Guy or B.B. King or Stevie Ray Vaughan, the list goes on and on. Do yourself a favor and get on the web and find yourself a few more blues riffs. There are tons of them out there that you can work on and master and insert into a blues song like the one we learned today. Sweet home, Chicago, yeah. We'll see you next time on Songman.